Hey guys, what is up? It is time for another Sunday sketch. I know this one is a little later in the day, but I had some stuff I had to get ready for classes starting up again this week. So thank you for your patience, and let's just jump into it. So first, we are drawing Griselma today from the game. What is the game? Gigantic. Right, that's the game. So we're drawing Griselma from Gigantic. She's a funny little character, I think. So, and I've been doing, Gigantic with that lineless style I've been trying to show off. So I think it'd be fun to try and do that. And she has probably one of my favorite poses ever. As far as movement and stuff is concerned, she has her little hand stick. But I think I'm gonna go with my own pose for her. So we're gonna grab some of her like official art, right? First, we're gonna open up a new file. Then we're gonna move our reference material into the file here. It's very important to have reference material, of course. That's also a pretty good one. There we go. Let's move that around. There we go. Frame that up pretty nicely. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? And really, you just want to grab any kind of references you have, and you want to make sure they're good references. It's kind of hard to tell you, what a good reference is and what isn't a good reference. But like, the more official something is, like if it's official art from the game or like a screenshot or something, that's definitely a good reference. Versus, I guess someone else's drawing of the character. Like, I wouldn't use my own drawings of someone else's character for reference because I'm probably not going to get it 100% right. If you want to try and copy my style, that's another thing. But your references should always be from as strong a source as you possibly can get it. So let me move my camera over a little bit because I'm going to turn this way. And we're going to start drawing. So, like I said, I've been doing this lineless style, right, lately. And I showed it off in the Paco video and some in the Taito video, but I didn't do as good a job on the Taito video, to be honest. Like, it was not one of my better vids. So, hopefully this one will go a lot better. So, the first thing we want to establish is her shape, which of course is fairly easy with like with all the Gigantic characters. The shape is real easy to establish because if you look at her, she's kind of a box. She's a box, and her head is another box that's like on the front of that box, and then she's got this like crazy deformed crescent thing for the horns. She's got horns. And then, of course, you've got a hand, which you can break up into another box and give it that claw. You can break her up into mostly boxes. Like, look, this shoulder, box. This arm, box. Probably like a little triangle thing there. Hand, box, right? Shoes are little boxes. So, like, everything about her, you can break up, and I'll zoom in here so you can see it, what I'm doing a lot better. Oop, that's too much. So you see how many boxes she's got going on, and then from there you can go into the more like detailed stuff. Like, anyway, her glasses are kind of like boxes, and her earrings are kind of like boxes too. You can break up parts of her face into boxes, but then she's got this interesting thing, right? So she's got this crescent moon kind of thing going on with the horns, and then you see her her necklace has a curve to it, and then the curves just continue down the front of her body, and the curves are like between the teeth, leg, spiky things on her coat, and her coat is clearly made of monster flesh. So there is that. So that is basic breakdown of her shapes, in my opinion. You know, you can of course go further. That's kind of a triangle thing. You can also draw a triangle thing from here to there to get her shoulders. You can break it down more, but I'm going to stay kind of simple, right? So there's my character analysis breakdown thing, right? So now I'm going to go over to the side, and I'm going to build her up the way I want to build her up with my sketch, okay? So here we go. We're going to make her kind of big, and I'm going to have her like that, right? And then she's going to be, actually, I want to have her like high five her stick. So her stick's hand will be here. Like, yeah, we just got a kill, right? High five. And then I actually want to have her stick kind of doing a bendy thing, and that's just me. I want to have it, you know, bend down to high five her, right? And then I'm going to have her head tilt up. Her head is still a box, but I'm going to have it kind of tilted up. So she's going to be high five, right? Just high five. Which means her horns are going to be actually where they normally come up. I'm actually going to bring them down to about the level of, they're going to be about level. Because when they're up here, right, you tilt the head back, and then they're going to be here. So they're going to be about, or maybe, right? So like, say these are the horns, right? And I tilt my head back, then they kind of go more level. Does that make sense? I hope that's making sense, and I'm not just doing crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, you can see it in the video. Hopefully that makes sense. That's what I'm doing. Whether it makes sense or not, that's what I'm doing. So then I'm going to break down her costume a little bit. We're going to give her that there, and then this shoulder pad is going to get kind of squished because we're actually stretching it out a little bit. Right? And then that's going to come out there. And then she's actually stretching a bit here. So her foot, she's going to have her foot there with her like block shoe thing. And then this one, we're actually going to pull it up a little bit so she's like standing on one foot to do it. And so all you're going to see is like the tip of her shoe, and then we're going to have to make some sort of like shadow change, plane change for her dress so that you can tell her knee is there, right? And with that, I think we've basically got all our main shapes established. So we're going to go ahead and pull that down, the opacity on that down. We're going to make another layer. And of course, if you're working with physical media, you can still do this. You can still do layers and stuff. You just got to be more careful with it, and most of your layers are going to end up being, just light pencil work, and then you draw over the top of that, and then you draw over the top of that, and so on, right? So you can do this without having the digital technology and software that I have. You can still pull this off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to block in my colors, just like I did with the Paco video, blocking the colors. So that's gonna be her. That doesn't look like her skin color. Maybe it's just because it's up against a white backdrop now. I guess it is her skin color. Oof, that turned out weird. You know what? I'm just gonna eyeball it. I think maybe the copy of the image that I got was not amazing, so I'm just going to go ahead and eyeball it. And we're going to go ahead and say it's probably somewhere in there. Yeah, that works for me. Because part of it could be the lighting. I'm sure they lit this in some way. So we're going to go ahead and block that in, and we're going to get this nice, like, weird cranberry color for her costume. Nope, that's not quite right. Needs to be more red than that. Gotta get that right color. That's it. I found the color. It's always the tricky part, finding the right color. Let's make a new layer for this other color. And this is going to be the color for most of her clothes. Right? So there you go. And then part of the stick is also that color, so that's real handy for us. Actually, a lot of her costume is that color. So again, real handy for us, for our purposes. So we're going to give her those horns, and it is her left horn is bigger than her right horn, okay? That's the important part there. We're going to put that there. And we're going to put that one there. And probably that one back there. We'll of course you clean it up as you go along, more or less. And then at which fingers have the wrapping on them? Basically all of them, except for the pinky one. Interesting. So that and that. And then of course you wrap it around the bottom. Kind of build this shape outward. Gonna exaggerate that a little bit. Exaggerate that wrist. And we're probably gonna end up doing some more severe edits to this hand positioning just to get it just right, just the way we want it, right? Next, we're gonna grab the green. So that's going to be a little more blue than that. It is a very, let's take a look at this, right? It is a very bluish green. So you want to make sure you get that. Nope, not quite there. More blue. That's it. Probably darker than that. It's too saturated. That's about right. And now we're going to go ahead and map out the rest of the colors, because she doesn't have a ton of different colors to work with, to be honest. But it definitely works in her favor. She's got a very simple color scheme that's easy to follow and easy to identify. So we've built up that hand, give her her horns, kind of build that. This is all going to look kind of weird until we start taking away things and start adding to the details. It's all going to look pretty weird, because we're really just blocking in a lot of things. Let's go ahead and drop this over the top. And of course she's got kind of a long, flowy cape. And then we're going to use the same sort of blue-gray color for her everything else, really. And so that's going to be the little turban across her head. And also a decent chunk of her costume. Is that color as well. And we're also going to use it for the claws on her hand-a-majigger. And then she's got different colors for, let's see, we gotta add her toes. And then her accessories, basically, are more of a bronzish color, I guess, kind of a brown. It's very similar to what she has for her horns, so I'm just going to go ahead and... actually, her horns are more red than that. Nope, I have the wrong layer. There we go. So she's got these bangles. She's got these earrings. She's got the... choker. Actually, a lot of these are that same color, which is interesting, or a similar color. She's got the necklace, and then we're gonna turn it more red for all the little spiky things. And the positioning is pretty important. basically like that. And then I'm also going to use it for her shoes. Okay, now let's add her glasses, which should be fairly easy. Just going to do a really light blue-gray for the lenses. Sorry, light blue-gray for the lenses. Make sure we get the kind of right shape for them. And now we can start. Should give her a mouth, which of course looks like in game it's a dark purple. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Dark, really dark, but kind of a bluish purple. And it's a very thin, she's got a very thin mouth, even when she smiles. That's basically the shape of it. And so yeah, from here, what I want to do first is I want to adjust the this hand stick that she has, which I think is hilarious all the time. It's one of my favorite parts of her character design. Put that kind of down there more. Alright, and already you can tell who it is, just from what we've done here, right? But I'm going to start building on this now. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of this into a folder. And I'm just going to go ahead, before we kind of shaped Paco as we went and kind of shaped it before we started doing lighting and everything, I'm going to go ahead and do that with Griselma. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to actually start adding lights and shadows to her now, and then kind of mold her after that. But first I am going to go ahead and give her a backdrop. Something that we can kind of build our lights and shadows around, you know? So there we go. So we're going to come over here and we're going to give her some light purples. And we got to pay attention to the way her face is shaped now. Right? She's got these big cheeks. Right? Let's see. Overlay. There we go. It's a little too strong. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do at all. There we go. Lost control of my program for a little bit there. There we go. Give her a nice nose. Her nose is, of course, very triangular. And actually, that whole section of her face is kind of rosy, so I gotta make sure that I get that in as well. She's also got these big jowls, so we gotta make sure we build her face properly when we put in our shadows and everything. And then you notice her cape, it's covered in like feathers and stuff. kind of got this scaled look to it, so we're going to try and emulate that. Just by spacing out this sort of stippling. And stippling, in case you don't know, is when you basically you just take your pencil and you just dot 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 everywhere. That's stippling. So I'm basically what I'm doing is just putting a bunch of pencil marks, a bunch of dots. Just all around. To try and give that same illusion. And then we'll go back and in our first shadow layer, we'll go ahead and do something similar there as well. Now, we gotta clean up her head wraps, that's for sure, because I think we're missing that. Her glasses, of course, are gonna be shiny. As many glasses are, or at least have some reflectivity to them. And of course we're gonna give her bangles the nice treatment there as well. This is basically a hand wrap, so we're just gonna try and approximate the idea of the hand wrap in our lights and shadows, much like they do on the image to the left. And then this piece is solid, bendy but solid. And I forgot to put the handle on, so that's my bad for sure. But we will make adjustments. Oh, and you know what? I actually did the hand a little wrong too. Because he's actually got a wrist first before the hand. So let's go back in there and fix that. You know what? This whole layer is a little out of it. Where's the red layer? That's the red layer. There we go. We want to ditch these bits of our red layer. And let's go back to our green layer, and we'll get a nice blue-green. A little bit more blue than green, of course. And we got to make sure that we give him a wrist. So it's going to end up looking like... What are you going to look like, buddy? You are going to look like this. Build the wrist in there, build the hand arching backwards. Bony fingers. High five hand. And it just occurs to me that this is probably going to be very painful for this creature because of how its eye is placed in its hand. So that is something that I did not really take into consideration, to be completely honest. It's like, let me high five you with my eyeball, because that sounds like a great idea. But I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. I just thought the high five would be cute. And gosh darn it, it will be. There we go. And of course now we gotta kind of move things around a little bit. Green, there we go, green layer. Move the hand so it's actually high-fiving her about there. And then of course we have to move like everything else down a little bit too. And probably exaggerate this bend more as well. Gotta do a lot of fixing. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on some music and just get going, because I think I've talked a lot about what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna go ahead and try and power on through this because I gotta fix a few things here. So we're just gonna put on some nice music. Hopefully that's not too loud, and we'll just go at it. All right, so we're gonna go with, let's turn that down just a little bit more. Okay. Oh, that is volume. Okay. Like, does that even get quieter? Maybe it's just really loud in my headphones. Anywho, so we have our first light pass. We're gonna do two, because I like to do two. And we're gonna do them about, we do them about the same strength, roughly. And of course we want to do the same color unless they're getting hit by like a different light source, right? But they're not, so we're just gonna do the same one. And this is where you're gonna do even stronger, you know, lights. Wherever you think the light's gonna hit more. I should listen to more classical music. Right, so there we have some lights. And now let's go ahead and apply, or start applying some shadows. And already we can see kind of the direction we're going. Of course, it is going to need some cleaning up. But we're starting to get more of a sense of the shape of things. Let me just pause this music real quick because I'm going to talk a little bit more. I gotta get used to using more music, make it maybe drown out some of the noise from like the air conditioner and stuff when it's running. Anyway, what I was gonna say is when you see like the really like super realistic styles, where they don't use like where they use like hardly any lines and everything, that's really just a lot and a lot of layers of like lights and shadows, and they like build it up and stuff. So you do see like some lines and stuff, but those are really really like deep shadows. So they get to have some really amazing work by doing that. Now, before we get into the shadow layer, I do have to do a few adjustments to her skin tone, for one, because she's actually got this really light blush, kind of, well, not light, but she's got a blush over her face. So we're going to come in here, and we're actually going to go and apply this with a watercolor, or I'm going to with a watercolor brush, because of how kind of blended and distinct it is. Right, so just about there. Is where her nose is, right? Yeah, so now we can start, and I should also add her glasses, which are about the same color as her her mouth, really. So let's do that as well. Or the rims of her glasses, I should say. Oh, that is actually under something. Oh. You are not an easy grandma to draw. There we go. That's close enough for my purposes. Okay. Except she's got these horn things, like on that side. Oh no, they're not that bad. They're just kind of pointy. So it's really more like this. Yeah, that looks good to me. Okay. So now that we've got that established, let's start adding some shadows. And for that, of course, I want to take the kind of opposite color I took for my light layers. If we look at my light layers, there we go. There's a light layer. We want to take that color, and we want to kind of go opposite with it. So we're going to do like a green, looks like. Yeah, guess we're doing a green. There we go. And this is going to be kind of weird, but that's okay. It is okay for it to be weird. So now I'm going to add the shadows. I'm going to turn my music back on. Alright. And as you can see, after adding a couple shadow layers and a couple light layers and stuff, we're already getting a better picture of her body shape and what she looks like. So then, of course, we can go into our older layers and we can kind of adjust to fit, right? Because actually, if you take away all of these layers, you should still be able to see a person in there. See what I mean? Because we've established enough of a shape that even without lines, because we don't have like outlines, right? You should be able to still kind of tell who it is. And I think we just about nailed it, although I do want to double up on the mouth in here, because this needs to also be very dark. Like that. And so that's really the idea of this style, in my opinion, is that's what you want to go for, right? You want to try and establish the character without having to do as much work with outlines and things like that. And it makes for a very interesting shading style too, I think. So, anyway. Now, of course, we're going to put all of our lights and shadows into another folder. And I need to set that folder to through, so it'll show through all of the change modifications to the layers. And then I'm kind of just going to start whittling away here. And of course we have to add details like her fingernails and everything as well. But I just wanted to show that it could be done in basically any order you want. You can either start with the face, or start with the colors and like sculpting kind of a thing, or you can end with it. Ooh. Oh no, that's fine. And I am going to end up moving the horns on her jacket as well, if you hadn't noticed the way I shaded that. I gotta try and make her crazy hand finger guys more angular and more bony looking. So that's gonna kind of be the challenge there. And of course I had to close his eyes so that he didn't hurt himself. when high-fiving her. Gonna have to fix that as well. There's always a couple things to spruce up as you go along. Or just straight up change. And then she also has nails, but it looks like they're painted. Yep. Which means we're going to have a new layer for that. But yeah, the style is just all about adding and taking away until you get something that you like, and make it as seamless as you can. Which is, I think, one of the things that I enjoy most about doing a sort of weird lineless style like this. So you're kind of discovering things as you go along as well. that's also all of these. Huh. I'm like, something's missing here. Do 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 do. Nope. Alright, well, that is just about all the time I have for today, but you can already see where I'm going with it, and hopefully this helps you guys get started, and, you know, experiment with your own workflow. You know, this was just what I came up with, and I wanted to try a slightly different way of doing it than I did last time, just for comparison. But anyway, I will have to finish this up because this one is taking me a bit longer than I thought it would. I will have to finish this up on my own time, I think. That being said, thanks for joining me, and again, I hope this was helpful and that you had fun. And hope the music was a decent addition. I'm still kind of on the fence about it, but we'll see. Maybe just get better music. In the meantime, of course, if you want to check out any of my other art content, you can check out my my gallery, which you can find in the links. I'll do a whole link thing. Check those out. I've got a Patreon and I've got my art gallery, and you can check those out for additional art content. And I will see you again next Sunday for another Sunday sketch, if not sometime during the week. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say, because otherwise I'm gonna start rambling, as I am wont to do. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, friends.